President is facing two major crises now, the oil spill and Afghanistan. With us, a Republican who criticizes government meddling in the economy, also a Democrat who has criticized this government's handling of the war. Republican Congressman Dana Rohrabacher joins us now, along with his Democratic colleague, Congresswoman Loretta Sanchez. Congresswoman Sanchez, first to you. Does the BP disaster prove that the government can't protect us from everything and solve all of our problems?
Well, certainly Americans should never look to government to solve all of their problems. It's really, every problem is about all of us taking responsibility for that. I think there are a lot of good things that government does, and one is to make good regulations so that things like the oil spill that BP did, it does not happen. Unfortunately, we've had an administration prior to this one that was very lax with respect to regulation. And so now we're having to come back, and who knows what other pieces of the economy are out there that administration relaxed that we now have to go back and fix.
Congressman Rohrabacher, yesterday a federal judge in Louisiana, Judge Martin Feldman, ruled that the administration, though it may want to enact regulations, can't make them up out of thin air and can't stop people from engaging in their lifestyles for no reason. And he invalidated the president's moratorium on drilling in the Gulf Coast. Agree or disagree?
Well, we must hold people accountable. I'm not sure exactly what the answer to your question is, but I do know that whatever policy that we follow, it must be holding people accountable. If you have a general moratorium, you are crippling the oil industry or crippling a large number of people who are doing their job right. And that's not the way you punish the people who've done something wrong. And if BP was irresponsible, if they didn't follow the safety standards, if they didn't maintain their equipment, yes, they should be punished, and there should be a focus on them, not on the entire industry.
Congresswoman Sanchez, I don't think anybody seriously argues that BP should not be made to pay for every penny of damage that it caused. But it is entitled to the protection of the rule of law, isn't it? I mean, the president just can't come in and say, you know what, give me $20 billion ahead of time. Don't wait for the courts to resolve this.
Well, he did, and BP...
But he doesn't have the authority to do that.
In this particular case, BP agreed without that authority to do that. So that's water under the bridge. There's that $20 billion sitting there. What's more important is for us to have an investigation, a good investigation, to take a look at exactly what happened, what corners were cut, and to see what the overall exposure is to BP, who will have to pay for this. And I think that's important. And when you say you think that there are people who don't believe that that BP was responsible or shouldn't have to pay, well, I'll just hearken back to Mr. Barton's comments, his apology towards BP. So we have to set this record straight, and I think everybody is saying
BP
that.
BP has to be held accountable.
Right.
But let us just note,
Absolutely.
we in Congress need to be held accountable too. Over the last few years, instead of spending our money on technology development, I'm a senior member of the Science Committee, we have been spending our money not on technology development to make oil production safer and gas production safer. We've been spending it on global warming.
Understood.
Spent $2.5 billion on global warming and $25 million on trying to make technology safer for oil drilling.
Before we go, hang on, members of Congress. Before we go, we got to switch gears to Afghanistan. And I want to put a full screen up. I will read it to you, Congressman Rohrabacher. This is what you said at a Cato conference not too long ago. I will say that the decision to go, in retrospect, almost all of us think that it was a horrible mistake. Now that we know that it cost $1 trillion and all of these years and all of these lives and all of this blood, and all I can say is everyone I know thinks it was a mistake to go in now, close quote. I think you were talking about Republicans in Congress. Did you say that then, and do you stand by it now?
Well, first of all, you left a big part of the quote out, and that is I was talking about Iraq, not Afghanistan.
Right.
And let us note that our military leaders, including Mr. General McChrystal and Petraeus and others, think that we defeated the Taliban, meaning American forces defeated the Taliban. We did not. It was the Afghan people, the Northern Alliance. We had 200 men on the ground at that time. Unfortunately, what we've done is once we had this great success with only 200 Americans on the ground, we've shifted the battle to have the Americans carry the battle. That's a huge mistake.
Congresswoman
that
Sanchez,
was a strategy to begin with.
Congresswoman Sanchez, you voted against sending more troops to Afghanistan. Do you stand by that?
Absolutely. I think we're very misguided in putting so much money and so many troops there. When Al-Qaeda is all over the world, we have to figure out a different strategy. And I might add that on Iraq, I argued and I voted against going into Iraq because I thought it would be a folly.
My two members of Congress from Southern California, thanks for joining us. In other news, an American woman recently wrote to President Obama begging him to let her alien husband get lawful residency papers. Instead, the husband was picked up by Immigration and Customs Enforcement and scheduled for deportation. According to reports, that letter, which was meant for the president, instead found its way to immigration police. I worry that immigration enforcement is often a spotty, haphazard, unpredictable thing, and that's not good for the rule of law. Two sheriffs from Arizona shooting it out over the new immigration law. Only on Freedom Watch. Next.